And welcome to my channel, Collecting and Gaming. And today I'm going to be focusing on the collection aspect while I show you my Arrowhead collection. And so this is something that's really important to me because it was passed down to a close friend of mine named Billy. And Billy at one point was married to my grandmother, and he lived on a really nice farm, loved to fish, and had a whole bunch of cows and chickens. And at that time I got really close to him. We used to fish together, feed the livestock, and do a whole bunch of different things. And even at one point, I stayed a whole week over at his house, despite the far distance of it being 100 miles away from me. And so, after we got to know each other pretty well, Billy didn't really have any grandchildren, and so he decided to pass his Arrowhead collection on to me. And this collection was passed on to him by his father, who lived to be 100 years old. And when he was young, he collected these arrowheads off of the ground near roads whenever he worked on them. And so he has a very broad and unique collection that I fortunately was able to receive from him. And so I'll start with this really cool arrowhead, and it's kind of like it has an oval shape. And I looked in a book full of arrowheads to kind of gauge, well, what could this arrowhead be? What could its potential value be? And while it looks like it's probably not worth too much, it may be the oldest arrowhead in my collection. It turns out that a lot of the earlier Native Americans would carve arrowheads in kind of like a circular way, and so a lot of them looked exactly like this, even in the book. It was like looking at the picture out of the book. And so this is really neat, just because I think it may be the oldest, and its shape, it's really satisfying. It's really well carved around the edges, and overall, like, it's clearly real, and it's really nice to get your hands on that. Next, I'm going to show you another one, and this one isn't as much an arrowhead. I'm actually going to show you all the scrapers at once because, you know, the arrowheads honestly are much cooler, but these are also neat as well. And so these are like 3 scrapers that were carved, and you can clearly tell they're not like natural formations and stuff like that. They're clearly carved by Native Americans, and they were likely used to scrape meat off of bones, or, you know, get the skin off an animal, and all kinds of different things. And this one's definitely the smallest. And so there really is no telling what those tools were used for, but it is clear that they were designed to be for something. And so perhaps this was used to sharpen other arrowheads. You really can never know, but it clearly was carved to be this thin, and they're all still sharp today, which is really neat. The next one I'm going to show you is this big arrowhead. And just like, look at this size. Like, here's my finger, and my fingers are pretty big, to be honest. And so, like, it's pretty massive, and it looks like it was used to hunt some pretty large animals. It was maybe put on a big arrow and used to hunt some deer, as there are some deer in this area. And a lot of these arrows, by the way, were found in East Texas, around the Frankston area, which is near Tyler. And so that's a pretty cool arrowhead. The next one, let's see, we have another scraper, and then an arrowhead that, like, it's pretty oddly designed. Like, this one's kind of bent downwards, and the bottom of this is sharpened rather than, you know, the top is, but you usually don't see like the bottom sharpened as it has to be attached to something. And so this is definitely one that I could say maybe it was made by a Native American kid, and because it's not in very good shape at all. Like, it's pretty bad, but it's still really neat history to have. And this scraper, it's really sharp along the edges. Like, I almost cut myself there. And you know, the material is cool. You can kind of like see the red on the edges, and I don't know if that's part of the rock or part of, you know, what it was used on. Hopefully not, but there is really no way to tell there. Next, I'm going to show you guys, let's see, it looks to be another scraper, and another really weirdly shaped arrowhead. And this one, it's really sharply carved on the end here. And so maybe, I don't know. Honestly, the tip seems to be broken off, which is unfortunate, but there's nothing you can do about that. And the edges are sharp as well, as long as this part. And so I'm not really sure what this was used for. Maybe some experts can tell me in the comments. But it does seem to be an arrowhead. And here's a scraper. And the scraper is just really, really flat on this side. And then you can tell like all the little carve marks that they made. And so this is another tool that was used by them. And I'm sure, like the other scrapers, it was used to clean the meat off of animals that they managed to hunt and stuff of all kinds of stuff like that. The next one I have is actually next to is you have this arrowhead, which is really interesting because of how flat it is. And it's just so strange. Like this side is so smooth and this side's extremely flat, and it does look like an arrowhead because you have the general like triangular and then rectangular shape on the end. However, it seems really weird. Just like I bet this thing would fly through the air if you actually got it attached to something effectively, and if it was still in pretty good shape. And so that one's pretty interesting. And then you look at this one, and it seems to be made of the same material as this one over here. And I'm sure these were probably found in the same area. And so I would say that this one's they're dated pretty old, and so it's pretty neat just to have arrowheads that may have been used by the same people. Moving on to this arrowhead. This one almost looks like it's made out of quartz, and it's just like really ugly shaped. Like I honestly have no idea what they were going for here. This part is slanted really weirdly, so I have to assume it was broken off unless they designed it that way. I can't really tell you why it's like that, but I still find it extremely interesting. And then this is one of my favorite ones, and just look at how neat this arrowhead is. Like it's completely intact. You got the little circular. It's trying to focus. Whoops. You got the little circular edges on the bottom side, and all around it is the edges are all red, and it's such a neat arrowhead. Like the sides are sharp, and everything about this is super cool. And while I don't think it probably has very much value, it's such a clean-cut arrowhead. And the fact that I personally know that it's valid, and just look at how the rectangular area is so separated from the rest of the arrowhead. It's like a perfect arrowhead, and so that's why it's one of my favorites. And then finally, for the last but not least arrowhead and my favorite, it is the giant spearhead. And just look, whoopsies, and just look at this, like it is absolutely nuts. Like it is massive. It looks like it was most likely put on a spear, and this would be super dangerous. And while we're missing a little bitty middle piece, it's such an amazing find. Like, and these definitely are worth the most. I've seen sometimes arrowheads like these, even just with the base, sold for like prices ranging around $10,000 to $40,000. And so while I'm definitely not going to sell this one in the near future, it's still really neat that I know the history behind it, and just it's so cool, and it's something that you can hold in your hand and be like, wow, like this is huge. Like here's the comparison to my hand, which is big. And like imagine like some Indians and Native Americans coming at you, chucking these at you. Like that would be nuts, And so that's the last of my arrowhead collection. I thank you guys a lot for watching this video. I would really appreciate it if you guys liked and subscribed. It would mean everything to me. Right now I'm trying to get this channel to become more popular, and I'm trying to show off the collecting aspect of this a lot. And so really appreciate you guys' support, and hope you guys look forward to my later videos, which will most likely be posted pretty often. See you guys later. Be sure to hit that bell so when you see more videos of mine coming up, you can check them out real fast and get the first comment. And besides that, thanks for watching. See y'all later.